Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. It was the perfect storm. Drought conditions and high winds at 70 miles an hour from a hurricane passing Hawaii created the deadly combination for fierce wildfires on the island of Maui on August 8th. Within hours, flames spread faster than people could escape the fires. Now, 1 month later, the embers have finally been extinguished. 115 people perished in the fires, 385 people remain missing, and 2,200 buildings, including homes, businesses, and schools, were destroyed. As the fires began to burn, a family from Pittsfield was already flying to Maui for a vacation to visit relatives. Their family vacation quickly began as a mission to help family and strangers through the unfolding nightmare. Kathy Harrington traveled out to Pittsfield, where this family shared their story.
These are the images of Lahaina the Nagata family carried in their hearts as their journey to Hawaii began on August 8th. But before takeoff from LAX, Nicole's aunt called with news
that there was fires in multiple different areas on the island and that evacuation orders would be in place by the time we landed.
Wildfires can happen on Maui. This time, a hurricane passing offshore sent 70-mile-an-hour winds to the island.
But she did say that it was blazing in multiple areas on the island, which is different. That's not something that's typical. And then that paired with the severity and the velocity of the winds really sort of complicated the situation.
As the plane descended into Maui, Nicole saw the flames.
We could see them blazing from the plane. Our plane landed directly over when the fires were escalating. But by morning time, so we landed about 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, by 6 o'clock in the morning the next day, Lahaina's entire community was gone, was burned to ashes.
In daylight, the magnitude of the devastation was apparent. A registered nurse, Nicole met her husband Lee, a native islander, while working at Maui Memorial Medical Center years before the couple moved to Pittsfield, where I met up with her. The Nagata family belongs to St. Mark Parish.
We saw the level of devastation was, we need to go. But my husband looked at me and said, this is my home, this is my community, this is my family, and they need us now more than ever. And so at that point, we said, this is no longer a family vacation, and this is going to be a mission for us.
Nicole notified the hospital that she could help with the influx of patients.
But not many patients arrived because many didn't survive.
Describing it as a blowtorch, flames fueled by the heavy winds trapped firefighters and first responders, forcing them to shelter in place. One road leads to the central portion of the island from the west side, leaving no way to drive out of the fire zone.
When things escalated out of control, there's only one lane, one road to exit the area that was impacted the most. As you can see from a lot of the photos, cars melted to the ground and doors open and families fleeing into the water. They weren't able to escape.
Abandoned cars added to the gridlock when people were told to run to the water.
Stories of people that treaded water for 8 hours before the Coast Guard picked them up. Stories of young and healthy men who ran back to help elderly people that were in wheelchairs, holding them on their back in the water and treading water with other people on their back, keeping them alive.
Islanders with boats joined the Coast Guard to rescue those stranded in the water. Reports of missing people soared, and the death toll climbed. While helicopters fought the remaining flames with water drops, forces on the ground began to search for the missing. In 48 hours, more than 28,000 tourists left the island, so the focus could be on recovery efforts, and the limited resources could be for the residents. But since tourism is the business of Lahaina, Nicole says it's a double tragedy.
Many people lost their homes, their jobs, their cars. They don't have, any way to support their family anymore. So it's It's really a tragedy on so many different levels. It's an island that is reliant on tourism, but is so deeply shattered by this devastation, this tragedy, that it doesn't really feel like an appropriate place to be having a vacation.
Nicole, Lee, and their 13-year-old daughter got to work, and the needs of the community changed day by day.
If that meant bringing clothing donations to shelters, that's what we did. If it meant bringing non-perishable items to food banks, that's what we did. If it meant offering free babysitting services to first responders on the island so that they could focus on recovery efforts, that's what we did. We can run away or we can show up for people who need us.
For families who lost everything, some help came from the Amazon wish lists Nicole and her friends created. After spreading the word to the mainland, toiletries, diapers, detergent, and air purifiers were sent to newly created at-home distribution centers, then into the hands of people in need.
Everybody can do something, and for people that maybe don't have the financial means, you can say a prayer for the people of Maui. They need your prayers now more than ever.
Proof prayers will be heard is just 2 blocks from the rubble of the waterfront. The Maria Lanakila Catholic Church was untouched by the inferno that consumed its neighborhood.
I think it's powerful because it's almost like God knew that the people would need a place to go and to start to rebuild. The church still stands.
In Pittsfield, I'm Kathy Harrington for Reel to Reel.
If you'd like to assist the people of Maui, we have a link to make a donation to a community fund set up by the Diocese of Honolulu on our website at diospringfield.org. You can also make your donation to any local Catholic church. Mark your envelope with Maui Fund.